Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's video, I will be covering the severe weather, multi-day severe weather threat here all the way through this week, and even looking beyond into early next week as another storm system looks very interesting as we head in towards the middle of May. So welcome back everybody here. Let's look at the day one categorical outlook from the Storm Prediction Center. They did upgrade here this morning's outlook to a level 4, a moderate risk across north central and northeastern portions of Oklahoma, and then that level 3 enhanced risk surrounding that here into southwestern Missouri, northwest Arkansas, across much of central portions of Oklahoma into southern and southeastern Kansas. And then here we got that slight risk and that marginal risk here surrounding that as well, with that marginal risk here extending down in towards central Texas around the Dallas-Fort Worth area, getting over into western Tennessee, north central of Mississippi towards the Memphis area, and getting up towards the portions of western Kentucky, southern Illinois as well. So this is going to kind of expand into portions here of the Mid-South as we head through our day today. So looking at kind of the probabilities of all the hazards for the severe weather risks here as we head into today, we do have a very robust 10% and even here a 15% tornado risk with a hatched risk on top of that. So that does imply here tornadoes are likely as we head into this afternoon and even into this evening here into these areas. And when the hatched risk here also does mean that tornadoes that do develop could produce EF2 or stronger type tornadoes across especially north central portions there of Oklahoma, around the Oklahoma City area, Moore, Oklahoma, El Reno, kind of getting over towards Tulsa, Norman, and then getting down here into far southern and southeastern portions there of Kansas as well. And then as we head into the kind of the wind risk, we actually do have a 45% wind risk, hatched wind risk. We could have wind gusts of 75 to perhaps 80 miles per hour in this type of setup, especially in the northeastern portions of Oklahoma, getting into southwestern Missouri, northwest Arkansas. And then we have a hatched 30% hail risk with some very large and giant hail possibly up to 3 to 4 inches in diameter across southern portions of Kansas, getting into much of central and north central Oklahoma as we head into the afternoon and evening. So let's kind of break down the overall setup here with the severe weather here as we head into today. We got a lot of warm air across portions of Oklahoma, a lot more warmer and more drier air in the portions of Texas. Around the Texas Panhandle, we could have temperatures here in the low to mid 90s. Getting up into Oklahoma, into these risk areas, though, we got temperatures here kind of situated late this afternoon into the 70s, some 80s in there, even some low 90s across far southwestern Oklahoma in the drier areas. And then as we head kind of a little bit more into the boundary layer type of setup here, we have a lot of moisture pooling up from the western Gulf of Mexico. We got some upper 60s to low 70 degree dew points into portions of Oklahoma, getting down toward northeast Texas, northern Texas, and then you got that very pronounced dry line here off to the west into western Oklahoma, southwest Kansas, and getting down into west central portions there of Texas as well. Behind that dry line, we got a lot of low dew points into the teens and even the 20s, and then ahead of that here, like I said, upper 60s to low 70 dew points, and the clash of that air mass here will provide that lift that you need for some severe weather as we head to late this afternoon and especially into the evening and overnight hours here as well. Looking at that, though, because of the clash of the air masses here, and because of all that moisture here pooling up from the western Gulf, we do have some strong instability here pooling up across portions of central and eastern portions of Oklahoma, getting into north central Texas here. We got instability near the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, getting up to around 4,000 joules per kilogram, and then a little lesser extent to the north here as that kind of the moisture starts to pool up to the north, but still some strong instability, 2,500 to 3,500 joules per kilogram up toward the Oklahoma City area, getting up toward Moore, and even up toward the Tulsa area here as well. Not much of a cap here in the mixed layer or really at the surface today, so a lot of these storms that develop will develop very quickly and rapidly become severe here, go from little small shower to potentially 20 minutes later producing 3 to 4 inch hail and maybe even a strong tornado. So that's the type of setup we are watching today across portions of central Oklahoma, northeast Oklahoma into southern and southeastern Kansas, and then these will kind of push off to the east-southeast here as we head through time into this evening and in the overnight hours. But looking at the overall kind of shear with this system here, we got a lot of strong mid-level winds coming in out of the west and west-southwest, especially overlapping all that strong instability across central and north-central Oklahoma, southern Kansas, southeastern Kansas. We got here shear values on the order of 60 plus knots. And when you have that here overlapping that strong instability, you're going to have some very strong supercell composite values, especially centered on the Oklahoma City, Norman area, getting up toward Tulsa, maybe even getting down into southeastern portions there of Oklahoma as well. But in general, in that moderate and enhanced risk zone, we could expect here some strong tornadoes, maybe a violent long track tornado here if we can have a discrete supercell kind of develop. Look at these values across the Oklahoma City metroplex. You can see all the way up to around, 40 or so on the scale, so very high up on the scale for supercells, and then also very high up as you go, and almost as high as you can go, around 8 to 8.5 here on the significant tornado parameter centered on Oklahoma City, the Moore area, and then getting up towards Tulsa here as we head into late this afternoon and this evening as well. So let's kind of walk you through the composite reflectivity. You can see some ongoing showers, some convection and thunderstorm activity off to the east here as we head into late this afternoon. That'll continue to push off to the east. The concern will be along that dry line and near that warm front. That warm front will definitely be here a key factor as you get up into southern portions of Kansas. Got to watch some of those supercells. But as they develop into late this afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock, they will become strong very quickly. And these supercells, as they kind of dive down into portions of central and northeastern Oklahoma into southeastern Kansas, some of these on the southern flank here have a lot of inflow here, not much here, convection around them. So that does lead me to concern that they could remain a little more discreet for a time and also produce that strong violent tornado potential here for a couple of hours as we head into the early evening, before they kind of cluster together, still with embedded supercells along the way, but still here kind of transitioning more to a damaging wind and large hail threat as we head into the evening and overnight hours. A strong low-level jet kind of punches right into these storms as they kind of dive more to the south toward the better instability as we head towards here this evening. And then they'll kind of start to weaken as they kind of outrun the better dynamics with the system as we head into the overnight hours here as they push down towards the Shreveport area, getting down toward Texarkana and down toward the Dallas area. Still some strong weather potential here around the DFW Metroplex, getting over towards Texarkana, Little Rock, getting down maybe towards the Shreveport area as well as we head into the overnight hours. Now, I did take a sounding. This is from the HRRR, and this is near the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma area. And look at these hodographs. These go shooting way up into the sky here with these updrafts, very tall updrafts. But look at the hodograph here. We're seeing a very curved and elongated hodograph with a possible hazard tag of tornado and a very classic supercell type of setup here as well today. We got winds at the surface out of the south-southeast, but you go a few hundred to 1,000 feet up, you get into the low to mid levels. Winds will be still pretty strong, but coming out of the southwest, and then you go up a little further into the mid-level and upper levels, and you can see winds coming in here a little weaker, but still out of the west here as well. And you can see a lot of hail growth zone here into the mid-level, so that means some very large and giant hail, up to probably 4 inches in diameter, can be possible, especially in those enhanced and moderate risk areas as we head here into central Oklahoma. So that is today's risk here. So everybody remain weather aware, have multiple ways to receive warnings and watches across those areas today here, whether it's a weather radio, your phone here, a tablet, watching it here on any of the local news media outlets across portions of Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas here as we head into today as well, and then watching those storms as they push here into the mid-south into the overnight hours. Then the Storm Prediction Center, as we head into tomorrow, has a slight risk zone of severe weather on their Day 2 outlook from southwestern Pennsylvania down through south-central Ohio, getting down here into central portions and northeastern portions there of Kentucky, southeastern portions there of Indiana as well, into far northern West Virginia. A little bit of a tornado risk there, 2% across portions of the Ohio Valley, getting down into the mid-Atlantic, and then here going along with that slight risk zone across especially Ohio into Kentucky, into southwestern portions there of Pennsylvania. You can definitely have the potential for some wind as well, and then hail risk here will be kind of lower on the scale tomorrow with the kind of a lesser instability setup. The setup for tomorrow remains the same. A lot of pooling Gulf of Mexico moisture pooling up all the way into the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, with dew points in the low to mid 60s, and that will create some instability here. With instability quite a bit less than today, but still pretty high for some severe weather. All you really need is 1,000 to 1,500 for severe weather. And that's exactly the threshold that we'll be at as we head into our Tuesday as well. But then you can see the supercell composite values kind of still showing up across portions of south central Ohio, getting into West Virginia and Kentucky, kind of centered on that type of vicinity. And so I can't rule out a couple of supercells with maybe an isolated tornado, some very large hail, maybe even the potential here of some damaging winds as well, potentially up to 70 plus miles per hour across that zone. So we'll kind of walk you through the setup here for tomorrow, kind of like how the radar might look like here on the composite reflectivity. This is late in the afternoon, some ongoing storms well north into the southern Great Lakes vicinity. But as we head into the afternoon with that daytime heating, we got here some line segments starting to develop, some multi-cells, supercells, maybe some bowing structures, and this will continue to push to the east. We could have a nasty kind of bow echo pushing into portions of southwestern Pennsylvania, getting into portions of West Virginia, and then behind that here, just some supercellular activity, some low top convection here as we head into the afternoon across portions of south central Ohio, getting back here along that cold front down into portions of Kentucky and West Virginia as well, maybe even southeastern Indiana. And that'll continue to push off to the east as we head into the evening hours and that will kind of be that as we head into our Tuesday. Then looking back west, the Storm Prediction Center on their day 3 categorical outlook on Wednesday have already here put a level 3 enhanced risk of severe weather back across central Oklahoma, getting into northwest Texas, kind of centered on Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and more Oklahoma as well, with a slight risk getting down to the north side of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex around Denton, McKinney, and then getting up toward the Wichita Falls area, the Red River, and then getting over toward northwestern portions of Arkansas, southwestern Missouri, including the Joplin area, and then getting down again back into southern and southeastern portions there of Kansas, and getting into west central portions there of Texas. Looking at the probabilities of severe weather, you do have a 30% probability of severe weather, a hatched probability as well, getting into central and west central Oklahoma and into northwest Texas. We could be talking about EF2s or stronger tornadoes, 2-inch or larger hail, potentially up to 4 inches in diameter once again, and even damaging wind gusts that could be up to 75 plus miles per hour as we head in here into our Wednesday evening across these areas. So looking at the setup again, we got a lot of moisture pooling back here, kind of pulling northward again on the backside of that first shortwave trough here with that cold front, and then we'll have moisture return on the backside here on Wednesday afternoon, dew points back into the 60s, and that should yield some strong instability again as we head into our Wednesday on the order of 3,000 plus joules per kilogram, especially into central and west central portions of Oklahoma down into northwest Texas here. Very strong shear here. We got some very strong wind profiles here in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. Some strong westerlies and southwesterlies here pushing into the Oklahoma and into portions of northwest Texas here, and should yield some shear profiles on the order of 50 plus knots and overlapping that strong instability. Now, once that shear kind of rounds the base of that shortwave trough here on our Wednesday, it should eat away at this mid-level cap that's on the atmosphere, pretty pronounced cap across central and west central Oklahoma, getting in northwest Texas. But as that shear kind of moves across these areas, will kind of start to erode that cap, and those air parcels will start to rise, and that's where you get those very tall updrafts as we head into our Wednesday. And you can see that supercell composite values pretty high a couple days out already here in the middle of the road here in the scale. So some pretty decent values showing up as well. And also actually here a couple days out showing some very strong signs of some strong tornado potential as well, again into central and west central portions there of Oklahoma, kind of tailing its way down into North Texas and northwest Texas as we head towards Wednesday evening. So that will be a concern as well. I did take another sounding in the same area. Once again, this is the same area, different day. This is on our Wednesday of this week near Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, showing a possible hazard tag of a PDS tornado here, and showing a pretty decent hodograph signature shooting up an elongation of the hodograph here into the atmosphere. And you can definitely see a very classic supercell type setup. Once again, we got winds out of the east southeast at the surface, and then you go up a few thousand feet. Speed shear will definitely be an issue across the low and mid levels of the atmosphere, as we'll turn those winds with height as well to the southwest here in the low levels, mid levels to the west southwest here, We do have a lot of speed shear. There is a cap, like I said, on the atmosphere, but that should be able to break here. The hail growth zone here isn't too impressive on the sounding, however, but still could have some large hail as we head towards central Oklahoma. Then that all shifts off to the east on day 4 here into the mid-south across portions of far southeastern Missouri, getting into east central Arkansas, northwest Mississippi, western Tennessee, maybe far northeast to here, Louisiana. And then with that enhanced risk zone, the Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted. And then here a 15% or slight risk zone all the way up here toward the St. Louis area and toward Paducah, Kentucky, getting up and down here towards northwest and western portions of Alabama, and then getting back toward Texarkana, Little Rock, and then getting back into northeast Texas as well, north central portions there of Louisiana. And let's kind of look at this with the upper air kind of dynamics with the vorticity in the atmosphere. You got that low pressure system here as we head in towards Thursday morning across the Central Plains. That will be the driving force behind a cold front that'll kind of push through the mid-south and the southern plains and into the deep south as we head into portions of our Thursday night. And that'll kind of drive the severe weather as we head toward Friday morning all the way through the deep south and into portions here of the mid-south into the Tennessee Valley and southeast as we head toward Friday as well. Like I said, a lot of moisture return here on Thursday. Dew points rising to near 70 degrees, upper 60s into portions there of Arkansas, even getting up here into portions of southern Illinois here. Dew points up to near 60 degrees, so plenty of fuel for that severe weather potential. You got all that strong here shear coming in here, rounding the base of that here kind of that low pressure system and that trough as we head into our Thursday, and that here will overlap that instability for that severe weather as we head into our Thursday. So looking at this here, this is the European high resolution model. You can see as we head into the late afternoon, some ongoing storm activity back into east central Texas, northwestern portions of Louisiana. Some of that could be strong and severe, but watching that cold front here as we head into the evening hours, this will be kind of an overnight threat on Thursday with some damaging winds, some very large hail, and potentially a couple of tornadoes as well here from portions of southern Illinois down through western Tennessee, east central portions of Arkansas, and kind of tailing off towards portions of eastern Texas and the north central portions there of Louisiana. And that'll continue to kind of move off to the east here with time and kind of weaken as it pushes into the southeastern states. A lower end here threat for Friday potentially here across portions of the southeast into Georgia, the Carolinas, and into Florida. But here the Storm Prediction Center has not highlighted any zones at this time, but I do think the potential is there for those areas. But looking ahead, another very large ridge will start to develop across the western 2/3 of the country as we head towards here the weekend of this coming weekend. And this is Mother's Day weekend, so do have to assume that we're going to have some nice weather, and we will. We'll have some here ridging develop across the middle of the country. A nice, very strong, large-scale trough will be developing across the northwestern areas of the country in the Pacific Northwest, and that will kind of meander across the west. A lot of below normal temperature anomalies across the here Intermountain West, getting into portions of the Pacific Northwest, the Desert Southwest, up to 30 degrees to perhaps 35 degrees below here the norm as we head into early next week, while here to the east in the center of the country around the central and southern plains getting in towards the upper Midwest, we could be 10 to 20 plus degrees above the norm here for this time of year. So kind of a pattern flip-flop as we head into early next week, and that could signify some more severe weather across portions here of the mid-Mississippi Valley, the lower Missouri Valley, and getting into the central and southern plains as that trough starts to kind of eject a little bit as we head toward the middle of next week. Kind of looking at this from the kind of upper air dynamics and the vorticity, you can see that trough developing here across the Pacific Northwest. That'll start to dive down, a very large trough, and it'll kind of turn into more of like a bowling ball type of trough as we head in towards our Sunday night time frame here into late in the weekend. And then this will continue to kind of eject with a very strong low pressure cyclogenesis across the northern plains, central plains as we head towards maybe Monday night or Monday afternoon here next week out. So we'll see. We can see a lot of moisture return ahead of this here trough, and a lot of dew points rising into the 60s, near 70, all the way from the central plains in Kansas down to the south in Oklahoma, Texas, and then here really amplifying here with that ridge into portions here of early next week. We got dew points into the low 60s all the way up into eastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota, with low 70 dew points setting up shop here from portions of southeastern Nebraska through east central Kansas and eastern portions of Oklahoma and northeast Texas as well. And that should yield some surface-based CAPE that could be on the order of 3,000 to locally 4,000 joules per kilogram. So some strong instability in place. You got a lot of strong shear rounding this trough, very large trough across the western 2/3 of the country, and that is already almost a week out. This is about 6 to 7 days out, and we are seeing supercell values approaching here 35 on the scale here, on the very high end of the scale. So this time frame will definitely have to be watched. This could be our next opportunity for a severe weather and tornado outbreak across portions of the central and southern plains. So I'll continue to monitor this here in the coming days, and then this will continue to kind of push off to the east with dew points reaching 60 degrees all the way up into portions here of western Ontario, getting into the southern Canadian provinces. So very powerful type of setup as we head into early and middle of next week. And here's still some CAPE values up into portions of the upper Midwest, mid-Mississippi Valley, and getting down here in towards the Texarkana area as we head into our Monday evening. These values could go up or down here, so we'll kind of continue to monitor this in the coming days, but some very strong shear here in the mid and upper levels will support some severe weather across portions of the Midwest, down through the lower Missouri Valley and down into the southern plains as we head once again into Monday evening, with some supercell composite values all the way up into southern Canada. Southwestern Ontario cannot be ruled out for a stronger storm as we head here into Monday afternoon and evening. So watch that here, and also some supercell values kind of along the Mississippi River time frame as we head here, the Mississippi River area, as we head into our Monday evening. In general, in the next 7 days, you can expect here some significant rainfall across, again, the same areas that have had the rain across late April into early May here thus far, across here the mid-Mississippi Valley, the Missouri Valley, getting down to the central and southern plains, an additional 1 to 3 to 4 plus inches, kind of centered on northeastern Oklahoma, southeast Kansas, southwestern Missouri, and the northwestern Arkansas area as we head here in the next 7 days through Monday, May 9th in the morning here. And looking at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center here, you can see a ridge will continue to move off to the east here as we head toward the middle of the month. This goes through Sunday here, May 15th, with much above average temperatures possible across the eastern half of the country, where the western half here under kind of that trough, it will continue to kind of meander with cooler than normal conditions here expected as well. And then continued active pattern with this progressive pattern here. We got drier conditions across the west and also into the northeast, but across the midsection of the country, from the northern plains especially down through the central and southern plains, getting up toward the midwestern areas, again above normal here precipitation is likely all the way through the middle of April through through the middle of May through Sunday, May 15th here as we head through that time frame as well. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it here. I hope everybody stays safe from all the severe weather this week and into this weekend. Do be sure to like my video, give me a nice thumbs up, and share this with family and friends here. Turn on all your notifications here to get all my updates here throughout the week for regarding the severe weather. And do remember to leave your comments and questions below. I'll be able to answer those all day and night. And remember to subscribe to my channel here to catch the latest forecast updates here this coming week and throughout the spring and summer season. So thank you for watching, and have a great Monday out there, everybody.